And we're live. Yes, we are. We're live. Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. Do you know, I feel like bursting into song. I don't know why. Maybe it's spring. Maybe spring is coming. And I don't know how many of you saw the angel action on my YouTube, but it's about planting and about the growth of the soul and so on. But it's also about planting and freshly planting things. Spring is coming. The shoots are peeping up in some areas of the country. They're already shot up. And I don't know what Carolyn's doing in the background, but I think she's got some sort of a band playing there. What on earth is going on? Anyway, if you heard that little sort of thing going on in the background, that is Carolyn. It's your fault. Everything this morning is going to be Carolyn's fault. If anything goes wrong, it's going to be Carolyn's fault. If anything goes right, it's going to be my. I just feel like that this morning. I feel a bit naughty and thrilled and excited, and I'm dying for your questions. But back to the angel action. I'm talking to people about angels. Do you want to be an angel in training? Would you like to be? Do you even know what I'm talking about? What does it mean? What do I mean when I'm talking about angel actions and angels in training? I'm certainly an angel in training. I strive every day to try, if I can, to help my angels, because our angels have to be overloaded with work, right? They've got to be absolutely overloaded. How can they take care of us? How can they, make sure that we're on the right track? And while they're whizzing around trying to help us, isn't it up to us? I think it is. Isn't it up to us to see if we can do things that help our growth, that help us to become more aware of our soul and to help us become more aware of our purpose here on this earth? I mean, if we could help, if you could help your angels, wouldn't you want to? And what I'm saying is you can. You can take angel actions that relieve your angels of that little bit of pressure they might be under trying to deal with us. I know my angels must have a tough time every day of the week. All right, so let's go back to it. Good morning, good morning. See how we're starting off this show? Can you see, Carolyn, how we're starting off this show? First of all, I would like to say good morning to my spirit guide, who, as always, as ever, is standing to my right side. And all of you out there who've sent me wonderfully mean messages about how crazy you're so right. I am so crazy. I think the best people in the world are a little bit crazy, not totally crazy, but a little bit crazy. So we're going to be a little bit crazy this morning. So good morning to Gregor, and to my right, I don't know where Cachorro's gone to. He's in the corner again. He's thinking, oh, she's talking to other people. Am I going to just hide? So he's in the corner, but he's doing fine. For all of you who've been asking, he's got a little bit of a second lease in life. He's still having some trouble with his breathing because the weather is so hot, but apart from that, he's doing really well. And Carolyn, how are you doing? Carolyn is also doing really well. Good morning, Carolyn. Say good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
Oh,
good morning, Carolyn.
Thank you. Come on. I mean, we've talked about having fun this morning, so all right. She let me down already. She let me down. All right. So shall we?
Questions, though.
Yay! I'm raring and ready to go. So
we'll start with Nad.
Who?
Nad.
Nad. Good morning, Nad. You see, now I have to be a little bit crazy to be saying good morning, Nad, because I don't think that's your real name. But anyway, maybe I'm wrong.
Is it possible now to receive message from my parents from the spirit world? I really want to know my ancestry background, from which country they came from.
Oh, interesting. Well, you've got what is that with the little green leaf that floats down? Ancestry.com. You can find everything out there. I actually personally have done ancestry for people, and I've gone back as far as the greats. I can't remember how far back I went, but a long way back, talking to people's sort of great grandmothers and so on and so forth. You can find out a lot about that. But Nad, it takes a lot of time, a lot of energy, which unfortunately, my darling, we don't have today. But you asked if they're I think you asked, are they doing okay, or you'd like a message to see if they're doing okay. Gregor has put his hand on my shoulder, so I can firmly say to you, yes. So let's have the next question.
Twiggy Leaf asks.
Good morning, Twiggy Leaf.
A few weeks ago, I asked Grey Eagle if he has seen a tesseract, and he didn't say yes or no. I'm wondering if
he's not going to say yes or no today either.
Well, she says, I'm wondering if the idea of a tesseract is not completely accurate.
I think it's not.
Maybe it's a very three-dimensional way of thinking about the fourth dimension. Can you ask Grey Eagle if the fourth dimension of time is time itself? Is the fourth dimension...
Now, I got it. Now, this is Twiggy Leaf. And Twiggy Leaf is a student of mine, to let you all know. So, Twiggy Leaf, I'm going to say this to you and anyone else who wants to listen. This first dimension, third dimension, fourth dimension, so on and so on and so forth, I don't know quite where it comes from. I don't particularly understand most of it. The universe, and remember this, the many universes that are out there. We're not just a part of this universe. We're part of the many universes that are out there, each connecting, interconnecting, sometimes our universe affected by the energy of other universes. And at one time when we talked about the many universes, people would say that we didn't know what we were talking about, but we do, because science tells us that fantastic telescope can go way beyond we ever thought possible. My grandson has this, and into infinity and Googleplexia, all these. I don't even get it half the time, but anyway, he does. So, and he's only 6. So what does that say about me? But we're dealing, you know, I do understand why people want to go there with this stuff. I really do understand it, because as human beings, we do like to put things in boxes so that we can understand them. But there are some things that we simply cannot put into boxes, because we do not have the intelligence to know the whole story of the universe and the many universes that are out there. And Grey Eagle is replying and saying exactly the same. Yes, thank you. He's reminding me that we do have an example of what I'm talking about. My grandson is 6 years old. He's incredibly bright. He's talking about, you know, all sorts of stuff at school. He's doing really, really well. He's in a special school that helps with kids who are bright. However, if I started to talk to him about higher math, doesn't matter how bright he is, he will not get it, because he does not have that knowledge and he does not have that understanding. And Grey Eagle is saying to me that as human beings on this earth, we see this much, if that, of what there is out there, the potential of learning and the potential of knowledge. And even the brightest of us, and even the most scientific of us, only has maybe this much knowledge of what there is out there. So without that knowledge, how can we make why do we make these assumptions, the fourth, the all that, you know, the 7 levels and so on and so forth? Because I think it's like, you know, somebody says, okay, there are 4 dimensions, and when you get to the 4th one, whoops, wait a minute, there's a few more going on here. What's going on? And what do you mean by dimensions anyway? So as a student, I'm going to say to you, just, you know what I say? Step by step, slowly. So as curious as people might be, and as much knowledge as people might think they have, remember, we are children. And we can't possibly understand what is beyond our understanding, but somehow we try to sort of make it fit, or we try to make it up, or we deal with theories that make us feel more comfortable. And so in short, having said a lot, I'm not going to answer that question. I've even forgot what it is now. Let's have the next question. Thank you, Twiggy Lee, for that. You are lovely. She's a lovely girl. Anyway, go ahead.
Carol has a question.
Good morning, Carol.
This was the question that she tried to get in last week, but we ran out of time.
Oh, well, that was not good. Let's have it.
In my dream, I was reading this. I, Carol, died at the age of 70. What do you think this means?
Well, I think if you're 72 or 71, it means not a thing, does it, darling? If you're younger than 70, I'm not sure that it means anything. Sometimes we are given information like that. I've been given information at sort of the age that I can start to expect when I'm going. I keep it to myself. It could be, Carol, that your own fears, if you've got children, if you've got grandchildren, and of course we want to be around forever, don't we? I'm hoping that I get to see my grandson grow into a man. I know that many people don't get to do that, but I know there are, many, many lucky people who do get to do that. It could be that you have these fears inside of you that are coming out in your dreams. It could be real. I don't feel that it is, but I'm looking to Grey Eagle, and he's not saying a word to me, but because I don't feel that it's right, he's not saying I'm wrong. So I don't think it's quite right. I think it's more about your worries and your fears of maybe going before you're ready, or before you get to do different things. Maybe it's one of those things that are a possibility. So here's the deal. It doesn't matter whether you're 69 and 11 months. It doesn't matter if you're 20 or however old you are, whatever time you have left, whether it's that you go when you're 70 or whether you go when you're 50 or whatever age, it doesn't matter. Life is short and life is precious. So this might be a reminder to you to make the most of it. So that's my advice. Make the most of the time you have left, whatever that time is.
Albertine.
What are you smiling at? You said Carol is sitting there. She's smiling.
Questions today.
Go for it then.
Yeah, they're great.
Albertine, good morning, my darling.
Hello, Rosemary. I would like to ask if there will be a Rosemary live show for children to ask you questions.
Oh, well, there is. But I do see what you mean. That's a brilliant idea. I have written 2 or 3 children's books. They are not published. They're my own wanderings and drawings and so on. There's one about a little mouse, an old mouse named Gerald. I'm not going to say any more than that. And so I sort of got these on the back burner so that when I truly got dementia and I've forgotten anything and everything, my daughter can take them and maybe publish them or give them to my grandson, because I always write my stories with my grandson in mind. And I can sit down and write a full children's book, and if I'm in that frame of mind or if I'm in that mood, it just flows out of me because I connect with kids in some way. So what a fabulous and a wonderful idea. And Albertine, if you or anybody out there thinks it's also a wonderful idea, maybe someone's got an idea of how we can put this into place. There's one for the books. I would be very happy to do that. Wouldn't it be wonderful if we could have a group of kids on the sofa?
Oh, there you go.
Oh, you see, my mind is gone, you know, and I think there are certain ways that we can talk to children. And there are many, many children who have fears and worries. I think it's only, I think it was Halloween that we talked about children having worries about ghosts and ghouls and things that go bump in the night and so on. And of course, my grandson has a direct line. And whenever he has, for instance, if he has an issue with dreams, or sometimes he's had nightmares, or he has questions about ghosts or monsters even, and so on, his mother always, my daughter always says to him, let's ask Mosey. And that's what they do. Oh, I'm Mosey, by the way, let's ask Mosey. And I'm able to explain things to him in a certain way that he understands as a kid, and I'm able to get him to interact. Albertine, I love this idea, and I think we should see what we can do once I've sorted everything. Once I have a minute, if I have a minute. What did I say? I said to Karen, I've got a really busy day today. I'm going to be working till 11 o'clock tonight. I'm old. I'm supposed to be retired. Never. Good idea. Thank you. Next question.
Nettie has a question.
Good morning, my lovely.
In your book, Proud Spirit, there's a
you
chapter.
said. I hate it when people say, you said.
No.
Yeah, go ahead.
There's a chapter on Wendy, and before she passed, a pastor cautioned her. After she passed, did you see her in the spirit world?
Oh, yes, I did. Thank you for that, Nettie. I love Wendy, and she was my patient for a few years, and to have someone within less than a week of her passing just step in and tell her that what she's been doing is evil and of the devil, that she has to relent, otherwise she's going to go to hell. Can you imagine anybody saying that to anybody? I mean, can you imagine anybody, never mind a priest, a pastor, or whoever he was? You'll see the story in the book of how I raged. Got it, not to Wendy, of course, but I went home and I raged to God, and I shouted at God, and how could you let this happen, and so on and so forth. And the next morning after this happened, Wendy's husband called me. You've got to come. Well, I basically did drop everything, and it was quite a journey to get to see Wendy. But I went, and she wouldn't tell her husband what had been going on. She just said to him first thing in the morning, you've got to call Rosemary, and she's got to come here. And so when I got there, she told me how when she woke in the morning, she'd been asking for a sign for God to let her know whether or not what I said was real or not real, and so on. And she woke up in the morning and she said there was blue light. She was surrounded in blue light, and her bedroom was filled with blue light, and the sense of peace, the sense of angels, the sense of God all around her. And that was her sign. I did see her when she'd passed. In fact, my first, of course it was tapes back then, all those years ago, but since turned into a CD, my first CD, The Gift of Healing, I wrote that for Wendy because she'd heard me on a radio show, and when I went to see her later that day, she said, I was feeling so ill until I heard your voice. So I actually wrote it and recorded it just for her. And then when she passed, she left me some money. I think it was amounted to about less than $200 to produce this CD, which is what I did. And it is now, you can get it on CD. If you want it, email us, rosemary@rosemaryaLtea.com. And it's called The Gift of Healing. It's been used in homes and hospitals all over the world. And it's an amazing, I love it. Of course, it's my little dulcet tones on there. You'll hear me talking people through the healing. so that people can give healing to themselves. And when I was recording, the main reason I'm telling you this is because when I actually went into the recording studio to record this thing, Wendy was right there. Her eyes were sparkling and bright, and she was so happy. And all in her world was right, and she was absolutely thrilled. And she helped me to produce the CD. So there we are. Next question. Have you lost us?
No, I was just refreshing the page.
Okay, all right.
All right, we have Megan who asks.
Good morning, Megan.
Curious if anyone in the spirit world ever has topics or requests for you.
For me to what?
To answer, to do, I would assume.
You know, it's not unheard of. Excuse me, I'm having a drink. It's not unheard of, Megan. That's a good question, actually. For when I'm giving people consultations, it's not unheard of for those in the spirit world to ask me specific questions, or to ask, I always tell my clients, come with, 10 questions. Of course, we always get to ask more, but we get to talk about the important questions in people's lives. But I like to start off with, bring 10 questions with you. Make them brief. You don't have to tell me the detail. Just give me the barest minimum in what direction you would like us to go. But sometimes the spirit world has a totally different idea, and they completely ignore all the questions on the paper. You've been there when that's happened, Carolyn, right? She sits in the dining room listening in sometimes, don't you? And, so the spirit world says, well, we're not going to answer those questions, because what is more important is these questions. And so they bring along their own questions. I don't know if that's exactly what you're asking. And if it isn't, if you could just be a little bit more specific, because often the spirit world will tap me on the shoulder. Can you give so-and-so a message? Could you do so-and-so for such and such? Is that what you're asking? Or are you asking if they are asking personal questions of me? We stopped doing, which we did initially.
Mm-hmm.
We always used to have one really personal question that Karen would make me answer. You didn't make me answer, because nobody can make me do anything I don't want to do, really. Although my grandson gets the closest. But yeah, so if you got your answer and you're happy with that, that's great. But if there's more to the question, let us know. We'll see what we can do.
All right, we've got.
I hope, Carol, by the way, I hope, darling, that you're happy that we didn't miss you this week. We do, we only have so much time. So we do encourage people to come on even before the show begins. Get your questions in, because we do like to do first come, first serve.
A little follow-up with Nad.
Yes, darling.
They said, yeah, you were right about my name, and I have done my ancestry already. Just wanted to make sure through you and the spirit world. Thank you, my dear. Bless you.
Thank you. Thank you for watching.
We've got Gigian. Hi, I have a son.
I don't think that's how you say it.
J-I.
Well, we're going to say Gigian because we don't know. So we're hoping that you understand.
I have a 7-year-old intellectually disabled son. What is his life purpose, and will he ever talk? Would it be a good idea for me to have another child? Thank you.
He's 7. I'm looking to Grey Eagle. Apparently, this little one, he may be intellectually a little slow, but his heart, his soul, his light is glorious, and everyone he touches will gain something from him. So, I'm not sure if he's an earth angel. I would have to spend a little bit more time with Grey Eagle on that one. But if he isn't, he comes pretty close, which is amazing. And you'll hate me for saying this, because it's no answer, and I know you want one. And if I was a mother in your situation, I would certainly not like me if I was to say, if someone would say he'll talk when he's ready, but he will talk. Give him time, give him space, give him a little patience. I wonder that he is not quite so intellectually less as you might think he is. I think he has much more about him, and give him time. And as for the other child, that's your choice. And I do see, oh, shall I say this? All right, I'm going to say this. When a new soul is getting ready to be born or getting ready to begin the earth journey, I'll often look at a mother and I'll see it's, the best way I can describe it is, when you see on Disney, you see the movies on Disney and you see the star that's twinkling, but it's twinkling so fast and so bright. I'll often see that either right smack in a mother's tummy, or I might see it, if I see that over the shoulder, it means it's coming. It's a little distant, but it's coming. I do see a bright, new, shiny soul. Your choice. Let's have another question.
Jennifer says,
good morning, Jennifer.
My husband passed 4 weeks ago. Is he okay?
Oh, darling. I'm asking Gregor this one, and the answer is, so easy just to say yes, isn't it? Of course he is. That's what we want to say. But that's not my job. You're asking a question. You want an honest answer from me. So I'm catching brief glimpses, but I'm talking to Gregor mostly here, but I do see someone from your family trying to connect. I don't know who it is. I'm not going to go there. I'm going to concentrate on Gregor because we want to answer as many questions as we can. So I'm going to say this. Is he safe? Yes. Is he well? Yes. However, and I hope you understand what I'm saying, please let me know if I'm confusing you in any way. There's an awful lot of stuff, some unfinished stuff, some turmoil, and some legal issues that were not properly resolved. And I think he's fine. I think he made it over, and I think he's fine. But on an emotional level, he's concerned for you. So whatever is going on there, my love, don't sign anything until you've read it 6 times. Do not think that everything is as it should be. Step by step, go slowly, check into everything, because you may find that there are issues that you think are resolved, but they're not. So, pay attention to what's going on. And this is a weird one. When we're in grief, I'm being asked to tell you this particularly. When we're in grief, we're very vulnerable and we're very sensitive. I am fully aware that whatever I say to you in this vulnerable and in this sensitive time it's very important for me to be reminded of my responsibility to only say to you those things that will help you and that will guide you. The message quite clearly comes from Gregor and from that, whoever that is who loves you enough to talk about this. Don't be bullied. Don't let people push you into something that you're not ready to be pushed into. You're very sensitive right now. So rather than making decisions that might change your life, don't make decisions yet. So don't be bullied. Don't allow other people to push you into making choices or making decisions that you're not ready to make. and just say, I'm not ready, and be very firm about it, my love. That's to you from, I think it's your husband. With lots of love, I'm sure. There, let's have our next question. If I've confused you at all, because I've just said how vulnerable you are, or if I haven't confused, whichever way, just let us know, would you? I want to make sure that you're okay.
We've got a follow-up from Megan.
Megan, yes.
She says, yes, I was curious if they ask you to talk about a certain topic for your YouTube videos. I feel like sometimes what you talk about is on point with what I've prayed about or needed. Thank you, hugs.
Let me say this. Certainly with this show, we never actually plan what, I never plan what I'm going to talk about.
We did in the beginning. We would pick a topic.
We would pick a topic in the beginning, it's true. But actually, we don't do it. We've not done it for a long time. With the Everything is Attitude show, we do pick a topic because it's important. We only have, it's a little bit shorter show than this one. And we try to get through as much as we can. And we do ask people to send in their ideas and their topics. However, if those in the spirit world, and particularly Gregor, because he's, guides me, if he has an idea that actually we're not going to talk about that, we're actually going to talk about this, he'll bring it around to it, or he'll say to me right at the beginning, this is what I would like us to talk about, which is what happened last week. So certainly the spirit world guides me, and as I'm talking to you all, I am also listening. I'm listening to Gregor. I'm listening to the advice. I mean, I'm pretty good on my own terms at being able to answer questions, and I'm pretty good because Gregor has taught me, has guided me, and is still doing the same thing. So very much the shows are influenced by those in the spirit world who do want to say something, just as in the last case that we just talked about, where a husband came through to give his wife a few messages, which I pray she understands. And talking of that, I gave a message last week to, I forget now who it was, you'll remember perhaps who it was, about, boxes and stuff going on in the house, and the person in the spirit world was talking about, all this stuff going on. And the lovely lady who asked the question, who I was talking to on YouTube, had no clue. But we did have an email this week from her sister who said, I know exactly. My sister didn't know. She didn't quite understand until I filled her in, but I know exactly what was being said. So sometimes we don't always understand it. And it's only when we talk with our family, or we tell our family or friends these things, that then somebody say, oh yeah, she's talking about this, or so on. So anyway.
Yeah, that was very neat.
Yeah, it was neat. Yeah, we had this lovely email. I know exactly what you're talking about, Rosemary, which was lovely. And it wasn't really me talking about it, my loves. It's only me giving messages. So, okay.
Chris has a question.
Good morning, Chris.
We've been told my daughter has a similar gift and is seeing spirit lately, but she's scared. Can you tell me what they're wanting her to know?
Well, how old is she? Let's go with that. I'm not going to answer the question. I'm a very responsible person. I need to know how old she is before we. But if you type that up, I will answer that question. And it really plays into Albertine, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Would you take children on a show?
She's 18.
She's 18.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So she's 18 years old, and it's at that age where, we become extremely sensitive and extremely aware. Now, you have to be so cautious. Let's be clear, this could be her imagination. It could be so ingrained in her imagination, she's going to deny that it's her imagination because she doesn't feel that it is. But it could be. It could be real. Who told her that she had the gift? Because if it's her imagination, somebody's put it into her head. I'm very skeptical. You won't get anyone more skeptical than me. So who told her? Can they honestly be trusted? Do they really know what they're talking about? Who is it she thinks is talking to her? Is it several people? Is it one person? And what are they saying? Email me, Rosemary at rosemaryaltea.com, and I will try my best to guide you in this issue. Until then, my advice to you is to, she's 18, I can tell her myself. So here's the advice to your daughter. Don't do anything. Listen carefully. If it's real, it's great. If it's imagined, that's okay too, because you know there's a fine line between what is real and what is imagined. But let's not go crazy with this. Be skeptical. Be really, really skeptical. Do not dive into something just because somebody tells you that you should. Be cautious, and email me.
Daniel has a question.
Yes, good morning, Daniel.
My grandpa passed recently, and a medium said he was standing next to me at the funeral. The medium was a close family friend. I don't know what to believe.
I'm asking Grey Eagle, and I'm really happy that you're skeptical. We just talked about skepticism. I advise everybody to be skeptical, but to be open-minded at the same time. Just because somebody tells you something doesn't realize that it's true. However, and this may not be your grandfather, but I can see a fairly, not necessarily tall, but quite a stout fellow standing in front of me, smiling away at me. Not much hair on the top of his head, and sort of fairly rosy-cheeked. I don't know who this is. I can tell you, though, that your grandfather was indeed, as your friend did tell you, he was indeed, in my opinion, standing right next to you at the funeral. And I think even now, as I'm talking to you, standing next to you, and will help you and guide you and steer you in the best way that he can. Of course, in order for him to really help you, you've got to listen, haven't you? That's the hardest part for us. It's all very well saying ask those in the spirit world guide us, but only if we listen. And how do we listen? And on it goes. But I think your friend is right.
Jennifer says, I think I understand. Jennifer lost her husband. She said, I think I understand. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Jennifer. Good. I hope I helped. I hope it was helpful. Good girl.
Albertine sent us strawberries.
Oh, really? I'm not allowed to eat berries of any kind, so they're wasted on me. Carolyn can have them all. But thank you for the thought. I used to love strawberry meringue, a big meringue nest filled with fresh cream and strawberries and raspberries, and I can't eat them anymore. There we are. Yeah.
Sharon has a question.
Good morning, Sharon.
My good friend feels like something really bad is coming in the world. She only felt like this right before 9/11. Is the spirit world trying to tell her something?
There are lots of bad things coming in the world. It's too generalized. And is it coming soon? Jehovah's Witnesses have been talking. I feel as if I'm pounding on the Jehovah's Witnesses, and I'm not actually. However, it is true that, and not just the Jehovah's, but there are many different religious beliefs that have been warning us of catastrophes, and it hasn't happened yet, and it's been going on for, well, as long as I've been alive, I can tell you, which is so long. I'm such an old lady. Anyway, but it hasn't happened yet. I'm going to say, I do understand, why people do worry about these things. But if a catastrophe is going to happen in the world, there is absolutely nothing we can do about it, except, and I've said this before today, live each moment as if it is a valuable, valuable moment, because it is. Life is short for all of us. If the world blows up, if the whole world were to blow up, go like this, we would still be us. We would still be alive. But we wouldn't have this world of ours, these experiences that we find, we wouldn't have those in the same way. So make the most of the world that you're in now, in the moment, live in the moment, and try not to, because people, I had a friend, and I think I might have said this before, I had a friend years and years and years ago, and he had a big wall calendar. On the wall calendar, September something or another, and it wasn't September the 11th, September, October, whatever, World War III. He had that written there. Samantha was a little girl. I spent several months until it came, the date came, it went, it came away the next year and it went, because I thought, well, maybe it means next year, whatever. I spent so much time fretting because I was a mother and I was trying to do anything I possibly could to protect my child. And this friend of mine was he was a lawyer, he was an intelligent man. I learned then never to listen to the news and never to listen to a newspaper. And I can tell you, well, my friends will tell you, Karen will tell you, even though I never listen to the news and I never read a newspaper, and I swear that is the truth, I know what's going on in this world. I know enough to know. I know enough for me. I know enough for my daughter. I can have good conversations with people on political levels and so on. You might ask yourself, well, how does she know then? All I can tell you is I have friends in high places. Let's have our next question. I did tell you this is going to be a fun show. Go ahead.
Carrie says.
Carrie, good morning, yes. Carrie.
Her grandson would love to sit on your sofa for that show.
Oh, yay. How old is he? I'd love to let's have a load of kids come in. And you know what? If we did that, I could bake. I could make, let me see, my grandson's most favorite chocolate shortbreads, because I make the best, right?
Yes.
I could make all sorts of things. Let's do that. We could order pizza in, of course, as an alternative, because I'd be too busy talking to the kids. But I could bake the day before, and on it goes. Another question. Let's have another question.
Okay. Nicole asks.
Good morning, Nicole.
I feel like my soul is restless. I have a hard time relaxing and managing the fire/stress inside of me. Do you have advice for how to manage a restless soul?
I do. But you might be too restless to take the advice. My advice is to sit for 10 minutes of every day to find that space within you, to connect with the spirit world, not to ask them a thing, but to simply say, I'm here and I'm giving you 10 minutes of my time. I don't want to know anything. If you're there, it would be great if you could show me a sign, but you don't have to. I'm not expecting anything. I just want to be here with you. Find 10 minutes of peace, of quiet, of solitude. I teach my students to do candle meditation. They have some amazing experiences. Of course, they become more questioning about it. If any of my students are listening, you might want to give a comment about what that meditation did for you. It's not meditation in the ordinary way, everybody. So, but I also have a meditation CD that you might want to try. I can't even, well, I have 4 actually. I have a lovely CD, a conversation with Bob, who's a patient of mine. I'm not suggesting you get mine. If you want mine, of course, Rosemary at rosemaryaltea.com, and we'll send you whatever you want. You have to pay for them, I'm afraid, but anyway. But find a meditation CD, sit down and listen to calming music. Actually take an action once a day that calms your soul. Listen to soft music. Force yourself to sit there. I tell my students again, have an alarm clock for the sitting in the chair and connecting. 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes max. If you just simply want to relax and listen to music, up to an hour, no more. Put the alarm on. There are reasons why I'm saying that to you, and if you trust me, just do it. Next question.
Carrie's grandson is 5.
Oh, I'd love him. I'd love him on my sofa.
And Carol says, Rosemary, Thank you for your answer, but because Gray Eagle didn't say a word to you and you didn't think it would happen at that age, but take care of things you need to, I think I better get my house in order.
Well, yes, but don't hold your breath, because I don't think, and Grey Eagle is talking to me actually. He is, I don't think it's going to happen. However, we all should get our house in order. We should all, what you should do is look at life. Do the things that you want to do, because you like an end tomorrow. That's for everyone. It ends like that sometimes. But Carol, I think you're going to be surprised. So don't worry when you're 70 and you don't die and you think, oh, maybe it'll be 71 then or 7. Don't do what I did, what I just told you I did with the news and worrying and fretting and so on. Live your life to the full. I think you've got many more years than you think you have. That's what I think. Now,
Mary asks,
Mary, good morning.
My grandma joined the spirit world 20 years ago. She watches over me and leaves me dimes. Is there any messages for me in the spirit world?
No, not this morning. We're moving on to the next question. However, come on, Mary. Every time you find it, what is a dime? A penny?
10 cents.
Oh, 10 cents. I should know this after all this time. Anyway, every time you get that little coin, it's your grandmother letting you know. So you get lots of messages. Trust them, hold on to them. I bet you got a whole pile of those dimes, right now.
We've got Carrie Mann.
Good morning, Carrie Mann.
Who says, not sure if you remember me or not,
Ooh.
but how wonderful it is to see your beautiful face again.
Oh.
Catching your YouTube shows has been so awesome. Karen
Mann.
Karen and Bill.
It is. Could you can't do that to me and not give, more info.
You don't
would be
recall
brilliant.
The hundreds of thousands of people you've talked to over the years, Rosemary?
I wish I did. But it's familiar somehow. Could you just please give me more? Give me a little indication how we met, where we met. Something. Come on.
Juanita has a question.
Juanita, good morning.
Hello, my mother was terribly abused as a child by an old awful man. I often wonder what takes place on the other side when this has happened.
Juanita, that's a really great question, actually. Different things can happen. Some people who have been abused, in whatever way that abuse is, find it very, very difficult to accept. They may have lived their lives in bitterness. They may have been angry. So they have all of those angry and bitter emotions that they have to deal with, because it's not about the person who abused them. It's about what that does to us and how it can hurt us, how it can hurt our soul. There are other people who can feel the same, however they come to terms with and understand that that experience was given to them. I know it sounds awful, but sometimes the best gifts are the gifts of pain, are the gifts of heartache. And if we use the gift of pain and if we use the gift of heartache, we can actually help our soul to grow and to become more and more light and bright. So it depends on the person. It depends on how they've dealt with their experience. The only judgment in these cases is how we judge ourselves and what we do with our anger and with our frustration. If we want to pile it onto somebody else, because it's our energy. We talked about this before. When we give out energy, positive or negative, because it is our energy, it will come back to us. It returns back to us. So we have to, and it's not an easy thing to do, but we have to be very, very careful to not send out those negative thoughts, to not send out that anger and that frustration and that bitterness, because when it comes back to us, it has gathered like energy and it comes back to us tenfold. So it's very important for us. This is why I tell people thoughts are living things. A tiny, tiny speck of energy. A thought is a tiny speck of energy which goes out into the universe and then returns to us tenfold. So, darling, you know, all of you out there, all of you who are suffering, all of you have had anger and have been let down. We talked on the Everything is Attitude show about betrayal, about you know, people who have been betrayed one way or another. That was last Friday on the Everything is Attitude show. You can go and listen to that if you like. It talks about what happens, what has happened to different people, what's happened to me, and it talks about the remedies, the things that we can do to help ourselves as well. So, you know, I would advise go there if you can. It's on YouTube. Everything in Attitude. Look at my name and you'll find it. All right, let's go to the next question.
Carol.
Boy, are we going through the questions this morning. Let's keep going. The momentum is going.
One more time back to Carol. Thank you, Rosemary. Made me cry because maybe I will have a chance to enjoy life and be happy and see a lot of beautiful things God has made. God has made heavyweight has been lifted. God bless you. And
now,
then,
whoa, now you have to put your money where your mouth is, Carl. You have to do it. And I know that you can, and that you will find such joy if you just let go of the worries of what may be and live in the moment and enjoy that moment. You have a beautiful heart. You have a beautiful soul. You have a beautiful spirit. Enjoy, laugh, find the fun things to do. Sorry, go ahead.
that's okay. Karen says she works for you in Vermont. All right, and I'm so sorry, Gianluca.
Karen, what did you do for me in Vermont? I need a bit more. I'm so sorry. I've got, you know, I do think, look, I went to put knives in the cutlery drawer and found that I was putting them in the garbage. I mean, I'm not as I used to be. And I went in the fridge for something the other day, and this happens to me quite a lot these days. I did warn you that I'm getting old. I went in the fridge the other day, I opened the door, and I stood there, and I blinked and I blinked because I'd forgotten what I'd gone in there for. How many of you do that? Be honest.
Do that.
Be honest. I'm thinking, what?
And you don't remember until you've left the room.
Well, I might not remember forever, or I might remember 2 hours later and think, oh yeah, I meant to get something out. This morning I forgot to get the chicken out. We have to have chicken salad for lunch because it's Carolyn's favorite.
Yes, it is.
My curry chicken salad. So good.
The best.
It is the best. Now let's get.
I'm going to follow up with Juanita. She says, thank you. My mother was a forgiving person, and it's my hope she has beauty now.
I think she does, my love. I think she really does.
And let's see. Kitty says,
Morning, Kitty.
Rosemary's teaching about meditation is right on. I am taking the class, and it has opened up my soul. Take the class.
Oh, bless you, Kitty. You're doing so well, by the way. Really, this class, I don't know if it's because it's online, and so you don't get a chance to irritate me as much. I'm kidding. For all of you lovely students out there who were students of mine, who came to my home and worked with me and all the rest of it, I'm joking. However, I don't know what it is, but this group of people that I have in this particular class, this one particular class that Kitty's in, they are so lovely with each other and helping and really encouraging. And you know, some of the students have been, we had one student who just last week lost her mother. The response from all her teammates was fantastic. You're a lovely bunch, and Kitty, you are doing really well, and I'm glad you feel that it's opened you up. All right, let's go.
We have to apologize to Gianluca. I'm only able to get a snippet of what they're saying. There's a language barrier.
Okay, Gianluca, good morning.
A part is, And the spirit can heal the body, with a question mark.
Okay, so we're having trouble with the translation of your question. So I'm going to answer the last part. I'm hoping you can understand me. We're going to answer the last part. Can the spirit heal the body? Is it what is what we said?
Yes.
All right. So two things. We could mean the spirit. When we refer to the spirit, we could mean the spirit of God, the spirit of Christ, and yes, definitely, the spirit in that term can heal the body. But we have our own soul, and many people do not know the difference between the soul and the spirit. What is the soul? What is the spirit? The spirit is that energy field that surrounds the soul, that aura or that energy field which extends. And very often healers, and you can do this yourself, we all can do this ourselves because we are all healers of, one type or another. So if we as healers, or if you're doing it yourself, you focus on good thoughts, you focus on prayer, you focus on giving healing to yourself, you focus on those things. And the more you are working in a spiritual sense, the more your soul hears you, the more the soul expands, the more the soul's energy expands, and the more the spirit expands and becomes lighter and brighter and permeates the body, goes through the body, and will certainly act as a healing force, a healing energy, a force for healing. Sometimes that means that there is a physical cure. A tumor can be reduced like that. There's so many things that can happen when we give healing in that way. Sometimes, however, if it is our time to go, we become more peaceful, we become calmer, we become in with this energy, with the spirit infusing us, the light, the brightness, the beauty, the joy of our spirit infuses us physically, emotionally, spiritually, in every way, can bring us to a calm and a peace. When we, my team and I, used to go out into homes and hospitals of people in England, I mean, we would do a lot of that. We would visit, and in England they have home visits. We have nurses who go into homes and take care of patients, and the nurses always would say, and sometimes the doctors would say, that they could tell the difference between walking into the house of a patient who was not having healing and the difference walking into a house where the patient was having healing. And the difference that they sensed more than anything else was that in the home of the person having healing on a regular basis, there was a calm and a peace and a good energy, which that good energy promoted the healing of this person. So healing does work. And can the spirit heal the physical? Yes. If it is meant to be, absolutely yes.
I would like to get in these two questions that people wrote in.
Okay.
Wendy writes, a little bit long, I have a question about my dog. She's the biggest lover of people you will ever see in a dog, but she's also very aggressive. She was found running the streets before we rescued her, so we don't know the history. She wasn't too aggressive to start with, but over the last 10 years, it's gotten progressively worse. She's escaped in the past and will go to any dog and attack it, even though she's only 12. We have 12 pounds, sorry. We have learned how to strictly manage her so she never gets away from us. What concerns me is that just lately she's jumped on our other dog and has bitten him. He is 16 and very gentle, but I am beside myself. My husband says we should consider putting her down, but I just can't. I believe Kaya has a good soul, not born a dark soul. Can we give dogs soul types? A good question for today's show.
Absolutely. My cachorro is definitely an earth sign. Yes, our pets have soul signs. Here we're talking about Carolyn's favorite subject, the most favorite subject. However, okay, let's talk about this. This is a very difficult issue. Um, did she say that she got the dog from a pound?
But she's had it for 10 years.
Yes, but how old is the dog?
So the other dog is 16.
But older than 10 years. This is so you okay. There are certain attitudes, whether you're human or whether you're animal. There are certain character traits that if you don't catch them early enough, certain negative character traits, if you don't catch them early enough, or if you treat them with indifference, or if you deal with them in a way that is non-corrective, will only escalate. Now, who is this I'm talking to?
This is Wendy.
Wendy, my darling. This is not a criticism of you in any way, shape, or form, but I can see how much your heart and soul is in your dogs. I can see how much your heart and soul is in your puppies. And because this puppy is so teeny, teeny, tiny, isn't there a tendency for you in the past to have said, oh, but she's so cuddly and she's so lovely. Isn't there a tendency for you perhaps not to have corrected her when you should have? And she sounds like a difficult dog to correct. And how do you correct a dog of only 12 pounds? Having trained dogs myself, having bred dogs myself, there, I've surprised you all with that one, haven't I? There are certain times when perhaps prior to her coming to you, she had a really, really awful experience, which is sort of, affected her. And the fact that it's getting worse and worse is not good. This is my question. I'm a dog lover. I love my dogs. But if I had an aggressive dog that I could not train, that no matter what I did, I could not do anything about, for the sake of the dog, because no animal or human can be happy with this aggressive side to their nature. So for the sake of the dog, for the sake of the family, for the sake of the old boy you've got there, the older one, and for the sake of any kids that may walk in and out inadvertently in your house, for the sake of those around you, I agree with your husband. If it were my dog, I might love it to pieces. I might cry desperately over it, but I would do the right thing. And you're asking me because you want me to tell you exactly that. I can't do it, you say? Really what you're saying is, I won't do it. An aggressive animal is a dangerous animal. If an animal of mine, and I can tell you this is the honest truth, if an animal of mine behaved such, I would have no issue. I would, if I had tried and couldn't control it, and you can't control the puppy now because he's too old, won't learn. You can't teach an old dog new tricks, is what they say, and it's perfectly true. I'm afraid I'm with your husband on this one. And remember, you're doing what is right for the animal, but you're doing what is right for your family also. But we don't die. I've seen my puppies since they have gone into the spirit world. What if this little dog, because little dogs can be the worst ever, what if this little dog grabbed your old dog by the throat and caught the jugular? Because that is an easy thing to happen. What are you going to say then? But I couldn't put him down. So, Wendy, my love, my heart goes out to you. My heart really, really goes out to you. This is a tricky situation, but you have to take an action, is my opinion. I feel awful saying it to you, but at the same time, I know it's the right thing to do. And I'm getting the nod from you know who on my shoulder. What's the matter with you?
I'm looking at the battery, make sure it wasn't there.
Oh, okay. All right. So,
one more.
yes.
Sorry.
No, don't, you know, don't, let's go. Sometimes, you know, we get hard questions and I've got to do something with that. I don't know what's on the screen there, but anyway.
Chicken salad.
What? Chicken salad? No, it's actually inside. So, oh, I know what it is. It's the little white arrow and it's on my shirt. So let's move it out the way. Sorry.
Okay. My name is Sheila.
Good morning, Sheila.
And in December, I lost my beautiful twin sister to cancer. She was 47. I'm truly heartbroken as she was my best friend.
Yes.
I now look after her 12-year-old daughter, who is a beautiful soul. I've always been spiritual and positive, even when in 2014 I had breast cancer and then we lost my dad. But this has really knocked me for a 6.
Of course it has.
She promised me a sign, but so far nothing. Even when we were very little, we both used to see a red Indian. I'm beginning to really feel that I am truly on my own. My spark is gone, and I was just wondering if you could give me some guidance.
And her name is?
Sheila.
Sheila. When did her sister pass, did she say?
December.
Oh, it's early. It's early days. This is what's happening, Sheila, I think. Our grief, it can be, and obviously your grief is such that it is so painful that without even realizing it, there's a barrier. There's a great big barrier like this because you're so in pain and you're
Yes, we're live.
all right. That's I told you that I would blame Carolyn, and it's under as it so happens.
Yes. And we're still on the same feed. We're good.
Oh, thank goodness. As it so happens, the battery died. It's her fault entirely because we usually plug in the computer. So we moved it to jiggling about here. I'm jiggling about and spinning around. Am I in a good position here for this?
Yes,
I don't know actually. So I need a short chair. Hey, grab a chair. Give me a minute. I'll spin right back around. That's okay. All right. All right.
Gianluca says, welcome again.
All right. Sorry about that, everyone. If you could take that fan out of my way, that would be brilliant. Okay, we simply moved to another place, and it's a little bit brighter here because we're in the pool house. She's in the pool area now. All right, so give me a second. Wendy, right? No, Sheila.
Sorry.
Sheila. All right. So Sheila. So I was just checking with Gregor to make sure I've got this right. So, all right. So we're talking about grief, and grief can be very powerful, and it's very difficult because our energy, our aura, surrounds us. It can surround us by several feet. And that energy, especially because the grief is so hard and you feel so lost, it's almost like it's acting as a barrier, you know. It gets in the way. And sometimes those in the spirit world do have a difficult time because they're trying to knock on the window. You know, you've heard me say before, many of you, that I'm the person who goes around, breaking windows because sometimes it's very hard. Now, remember this, you are twins. You're very close, aside from the fact that you're twins, because I know twins who aren't so close, but you're very close as twins. Your sister is feeling that same grief. Grey Eagle has put his hand on my shoulder. I know that I'm on the right track here. So the two of you are experiencing this awful, awful grief that you have. The two of you are experiencing this being separated in a way from each other on a physical level, certainly. And so you've got her grief and you've got your grief. And so this is like this big wall, this big barrier between you. It's very early for your sister. Some people can do it in a heartbeat. They're barely gone and they're sending messages or they're sending signs of one kind or another. Grey Eagle is your sign right now. Hold on to him as your sign, because I think he's going to find a way to help you and your sister to come together again. And I think that she will start when she is able. You've got to help her. When she was here, the two of you, if she was sick, you'd help her. If you were sick, she'd help you. If she were depressed, you'd buoy her up. If you were depressed, she'd buoy you up. You helped each other. She's looking to you right now to give her some help. And the only way that you can do that is to start trying to be positive, living each day, understanding that she's close by you, which you know she is anyway. You know she's not going anywhere. You know that for a fact. But knowing it, believing it, and living, having faith in that, but then living your faith, two whole different things, two completely different things. So what I'm saying to you, my darling, is you've got to live your faith for her, for your sister. And the more you lift yourself, the more she'll be able to lift herself. The less your grief. It's early. Stop being so hard on yourself. It's early days. Of course you're going to feel this grief, as she does too. But the more you can, even through your grief, if you can, there are times when I have cried and laughed at the same time and hated the fact that I'm laughing because I'm so miserable. You can do that. I know you can do that. So this is what you have to do. And the more you buoy yourself and the more you work on yourself and the more you try to lift yourself, the more and the more and the more she'll be able to do it too. So you're helping each other. This is the sign that you have, Grey Eagle. When you lived on this earth plane, and still is, I'm apologizing to him. Grey Eagle is an Apache. A warrior race. He was a shaman. I shouldn't say a shaman, he was a shaman, a healer, a teacher, as he still is, teaching me, helping me to give healing and trying to help you too. So you have to help her understand that she is going through the same grief. And the more you help her, the more she helps you, the more you lift, and so on and so forth. Eventually you'll come to terms with it. But please know you're not on your own. And please know that she is with you every day, every day. And I'm hearing from somewhere over this side, not from Graygle, always. She's always with you. Let's have our next question. I feel like a little gnome. I feel that was totally the wrong place.
It's actually 20 minutes past 12. Do you want one more
Yes,
question?
of course we do.
Right.
We had took the break. I'm so sorry, everyone. And I'm having such a good time. So let's go. Then I've got to make the chicken salad. I have to tell you now. Yes, go for it.
Well, Chris agreed. What a fabulous group of students right now.
Mm-hmm.
Do you believe, and this is Bella.
Good morning, Bella.
Do you believe souls choose their own lives and lessons?
I believe that we have help. I believe that we have help to choose. I don't think we ourselves can possibly choose what it is that our soul needs. So I think it's a bit like having a conference. We sit with those who are more evolved than us, more wise than us, more knowledgeable than us, and they help and guide us to the decisions as to where we go, what we need, and what environment we need to learn and grow in. Another question. Let's keep going just for a couple more minutes. I don't know if I've lost anybody. I've probably...
No, there's quite a few.
All right, we're going to keep going then for now. Keep going.
All right, let me find one. Let's see. Questions.
Come on, Carolyn, what you doing?
Nad says, love you, Rose, and thank you for your time. You're an angel.
Thank you. Thank you all for joining us. Any other questions? Or are we done?
No, we are done.
All right, so we are done. My apologies for that little break, and thank you so much for continuing to watch. It was suddenly with 1 minute I was talking, the next minute it was black. As happens sometimes, we are live. This is what happens when we are live, and we come back full of vigor, and we come back way more, even more entertaining. I am now going to make some chicken salad for our lunch in the meantime, right? Until I see you all again. Everything is Attitude tomorrow evening, 6 o'clock Standard Eastern Time. So that's New York time, 6 o'clock. I'm not sure what the topic is even. We'll just probably wing it. If you have a topic that you'd like us to talk about, maybe we'll talk about children. Maybe that should be the topic. What should we tell our children? How should we teach our children? Should we even tell our children what our beliefs are, or should we not? That should be a very interesting show. Albertine, thank you for that suggestion. We've got to make it work. I don't quite know how, but we've got to make it work. I think if everybody out there were to write to producers of all the big TV shows and so on and so forth and suggest, of course, they might give it to somebody who can't do it, and that would be awful. But I could do it standing on my head because I love kids and they seem to like me too. So, all right. Thank you for that suggestion. If you want to know any more about me, email Rosemary at rosemaryaLtea.com. If you want to know more about the books, again, email me, rosemary@rosemaryaLtea.com. If you're interested in my latest book, which is A Walk in the Clouds, you can go to Lulu, Lulu, lulu.com/Rosemary Altea. That happens to be me. And you'll see the books there. You can, Twitter's blowing up, I'm thrilled to say. So you can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Twitter. You can find me on Instagram. Instagram's blowing up as well. We don't quite know what to do with it all. It's all happening here. And I'm exhausted. Trying to find time for all of this. Again, any questions, anything, those of you who have said today, call the office or let the office know. I really am serious about that. Email us, rosemary@rosemaryaltea.com. We'll try to help you wherever we can, or go to do the social media thing. And until we see you again, wherever it is we see you, we'll be here next Thursday morning at the usual time of 11 o'clock. We'll be here just before 11 to send healing and give out healing prayers, hands around the world. So until I see you again, you all know what I'm going to say next. Please, please, please have a very, very, very blessed day. And now I've got to find that little white button. There it is. Oh, the little arrows right there. Have a blessed day, everyone. And thank you very much for joining us. Thank you to Grey Eagle. Thank you to Carolyn. I almost forgot to say that. And we'll see you all next time. Have a blessed day.